Well, hello there. I'm Rylan, and welcome to my playthrough of the United States. We're going to be doing a very historical based one, like we always do. We're going to be cranking up, of course, Germany, Italy, and Japan, like we do. Does not make the AI any smarter, but it does just give them a lot more things to use, which, makes it a lot more of a challenge. We will be playing with a lot of the historical kind of house rules I set for myself. I don't research too far ahead of time. I don't get like super duper tanks way ahead of time and just completely slaughter the game because that does not interest me. Also, we will not be flipping fascists. We will not be flipping communists. We're sticking kind of with the historical focuses. We will not be invading Venezuela early. We won't be, doing the intervention route. We'll be doing the neutrality route to keep it historical. Start with continuing the New Deal. Two big major things if you've never played the USA before is one, they try to simulate in this game USA coming into the war later and really ramping up its war economy over time. So at the beginning, though, we've got undisturbed isolation and we've got the Great Depression. Between the two of those, it means you're not going to be building a lot of things, and if you're trying to build war industries, they're going to be very slow. So, what can we build that doesn't have any debuffs at the beginning? Well, we'll do what the USA did. We're going to focus on infrastructure. Just far and away infrastructure. So let's take a look at our supply network. We can see here our main port appears to be Baltimore. Although, what if we switch that to Washington itself? So I'm going to try that and see if I can just switch it to Washington so it doesn't even need to come out of there. So I'm going to be experimenting a bit because I like playing the U.S. I am American, obviously, as you can tell from my voice. But even beyond that, it's interesting because you can let Germany and Italy absolutely just run amok and then have to come in and try to fix it. It's actually, I think playing the U.S. is more difficult than playing the U.K. because when you play as the U.K., you're right there from the start of the war. So you're fighting in the Mediterranean, you're fighting, and you can really limit what the AI does and how much stuff they can get away with. When you are not in the war early, like the U.S., they just get to run amok. They get to steal lots of territory, and it can become quite difficult to actually knock them out. So it's interesting. And in the current iteration of the game, the Soviet Union just absolutely gets dunked on by. Oh, I see what's going on. I was trying to suggest I build that. Nope. Absolutely just gets dunked on by the Germans. So that is something we need to consider and deal with. See, I was trying to build a rail route there. That's why we're getting all the yellow craziness. Nope, we don't need to build a rail route. We're just building up our current route. Take that into Chicago. So the reason why I'm building this big rail route here is I want to, one, see if I can get the supply, instead of coming from Baltimore here and coming all the way around through the Panama Canal, then hitting the West Coast, or, then hitting our island possessions. I want to try to get to ship out of here and then ship out of San Diego. And the reason why I want that is because I think that reduces the amount of convoys. Because I think the longer the shipping line is, the more convoys are used to ship said materials. Now, of course, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. So there's our big rail line. Should be a bunch of level 5s that are continuous. Okay. And we'll see. I may have just spent a bunch of time building rails that are completely worthless there, and if that's the case, so be it. After that, we're going to need a whole bunch of infrastructure. And the reason why you see me picking these certain states is because they've got high amounts of resources, or they're going to. As the U.S., we're going to be producing so many military goods that we are going to be flat out running out of resources, especially as we stay on free trade. If I have to back off free trade, I will, but due to its significant buffs, I like staying on free trade as much as possible. And probably, frankly, by the end of this, we'll just be maxing infrastructure basically in every state. But we'll start with at least the territory, or the states that give us extra goods. As far as our tech opening, we're going for the classic opener of industry and research speed. So we've got the machine tools, we've got the construction speed 1, and we've got our electronic mechanical engineering. We'll be going down that line. Regarding other things, we will be going for kind of a balanced Air Force, so we're going to start working on that now. We'll get the 1940 Interceptor. Regarding what we're actually going to build, we're not going to build the carrier fighters. We're not going to build any carrier fighters until the 1940s. As I mentioned, this is a historical playthrough. We will be going and not be intervening in the war early. So that'll be whenever Japan brings us in. Now, of course, historically, the U.S. was brought in with Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. However, I've noticed they've got the game tuned where Japan most of the time declares war on the U.S. in like April of 41, actually even before Germany goes into Barbarossa. I can understand that decision from a game point of view. Reason being is if you keep the U.S. out of the war for too long, it can be very uninteresting to some people. Now, I would play until 1941, no problem. If I thought the Soviets could actually have a chance of living, you'd also see me leasing the living bejesus out of them. But I just think the AI, when I buff Germany AI like this so much against the Soviets, they just don't have a chance. So I probably will not be leasing them. We'll see, and I'll evaluate it at the time. The other thing that is interesting is the UK used to never use tanks. Now they're actually starting to use tanks, and specifically medium tanks. So I probably will be leasing the UK. But once again, you could lease the UK previously, very basic things like guns, and sure, they'd use the guns. You could give them some aircraft, okay, they'd use the aircraft sometimes. But if you give them anything like medium tanks, they would just sit there. They just wouldn't use them, and it was just completely worthless, which, of course, the UK was a major recipient of U.S. Lend-Lease during the war, so I would like to recreate that. Also, it's good for the U.S. to do that because you get a significant portion of experience from doing that. Okay. So the U.S., you also start with a pretty rudimentary force. We are going to get rid of the cavalry division. Where are you? Sorry, cavalry division. See ya. The rest of you guys basically have three kinds of divisions in the field. We've got the infantry, the National Guards, and the garrisons. We're going to just convert everybody to infantry in a little bit. Let's take a look at what we're producing. Once again, we're not too concerned. We want stuff that's going to last. We make a bunch of guns, they're not going to matter. Support equipment will always matter. So you know what? That's our current low build. We need to buy a little bit of chromium. These are the ships we're making. We're going to have them all pop out here. And very historical, but we're just going to pull the entire fleet back to California. It just helps rearrange things. That just saves me a bunch of time from, basically a bunch of tedious stuff that doesn't change gameplay at all. So, okay. There's our carriers. Oh, that's going to be one of my big limitations, though. I will limit the amount of carriers I can field. Reason being there is, of course, as the U.S., I could pop out like 10 carriers before the war starts, and Japan will never have a shot. I think I'm going to limit myself to the historical. I think 5 the U.S. had, the 4 in the Pacific, 1 in the Atlantic. And let's see how many carriers that'll make. Because I have right now the Ranger, Saratoga, and Lexington. So yeah, the other 2 are in construction. Hornet and Yorktown and Enterprise. So I can have some in the queue, I just can't have them produced by the outbreak of war. So that will be my limitation there. But I will allow myself to build battleships and other things like that. And with that, away we go. Okay. Need to group up all my infantry divisions so I can start training them when it is time, and I will also, as I mentioned, convert them to infantry divisions, just the normal template of them. So everyone converts. Now. Great. There's Hawaii. I think the Carolina Islands, yeah, I need to build some infrastructure here. Or is it port level? I don't know. We'll take a look. We'll see how they do. they start getting low. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. Start letting time run. So we're going to be speeding through speed 5. We won't be doing the intelligence agency right off the bat. Why? It takes a long time to do anything there because of our undisturbed isolation. Yeah, agency upgrade time plus 100%. So we're just going to be producing a lot of infrastructure. Oh yeah. The U.S. has a very wonky mechanic in this game where you have to have the House of Representatives and the Senate support you, which basically, I guess they've got a very low estimation of American politics at this time because it's basically just completely random, the events, with a little bit of bribery to get stuff done. So I don't know if that was meant to be some commentary on Paradox's part or not, but it's a little bit ridiculous. But so be it. I got to deal with it. Okay. And then one of my other major limitations too is with the fleets. I could have the U.S. Navy just train all day, every day, and nothing. I would never run out of oil, basically. I'm not going to do that. I will train ships up to being regular status. But that's it. After they hit regular status, they get to come home. Okay. Got the first one. Take a look. Silent Workhorse, probably. Morgenthal's a good one, too. So my 3 choices are going to be... Yeah, it's going to be Morgenthau, it's going to be Stimson, and it's going to be, of course, Taft. And we're going Taft first to get the PP count up, because it's the U.S. You can never have enough. Okay, Neutrality Act. Or WPA right off the bat. Requires support. We're actually going to get this going first because these are gated. And those are kind of curing our Great Depression debuffs. Okay. Let time go. Get a whole bunch of these ships because they are regulars out of this fleet. Because the other thing that's interesting is when you let Germany and Italy run amok, most of the times the U.S., I've seen at least, the U.K. fleet is just going to get completely trashed. So you will become essentially the ruler of the waves. Okay. Keep going. Yeah, just look at that. When you're training, I mean, you're making half a point a day. I mean, that is just so much naval experience. You keep your entire fleet going, it's just way too much experience. The whole reason of cranking up the enemies is to have a challenge, and I don't want to neuter that challenge right off the bat. So that defeats the whole purpose. So, not concerning ourselves with our industry at all. Do we have any of our escalator clauses? Do we need to do? No. We probably will be doing these guys, these 2 decisions for the extra tech speed at the cost of some stability, just because we will be, working on our air, navy, and ground forces. We do want that extra research speed. So you can be quite zippy, especially with your 6 research slots. You can kind of really stay up on things as the U.S. It's pretty impressive. So, staying in the Washington Naval Treaty, of course, that's historical. We're not going to be doing any weird things like granting state power to... Okay, random event in our favor. Oh, get those ships finished. Okay. We will be going concentrated industry. We are the U.S. We are sticking historical. I know Disperse is better. It's much easier to upgrade with because when you're constantly upgrading it, you just don't take such a big productivity hit. But like I said, we're the U.S. We're keeping it historical, and we'll go for that first, followed by our tech slot. We can build things. Yep, Morgenthau right off the bat. Oop, -5. I'll give some extra slots to build with right there. And then the other thing is the U.S. We got to remember that our experience gain is just going to suck for our Army and Air Force too. So we want to get some advisors in there sooner than later to be starting to acquire some. Just because you're out of the war for so long, that is something we need to really focus on. Okay. You guys are good. So working away and building our infrastructure. Okay, P-40 Warhawk's done. Construction 1's done. We'll stay up with that. Probably could do that, but we're not too concerned with what we're making right now. I'll do that later. We're just going to go down the line and get them all. Because it's the U.S. too, you can really benefit from making, kind of putting the right sized object in the right sized hole, which was a very odd way of explaining, put the square peg in the square hole. Just because you've got so much production, you can be making tons of things. And we are going to be. We're not going to be just, 60 factories on medium tanks. That's it. Everyone's a medium tank division. You could do that. It would work. Once again, does not interest me. Okay, there's that. Could we do Neutrality Act? We could. We'll get the extra research slot, then we'll go Neutrality Act. I'm very careful, trying to be careful with things like that because of the random events. You don't want a bunch of random events to hit, and then suddenly you can't do the focus you were looking for. Then you're stuck trying to bribe people to get them back on your side. Okay. How's our rail line progressing? Well, that was in our favor. So we've got level 5s to here between New Mexico and Colorado is what we're building right now. Okay. Okay, well, those two nice events in our favor. So we'll keep researching away here. They've also tweaked how the cost is for certain like ports. Each level of port is like like a fortress where it gets more expensive as it goes up, which is I think a good change because it makes sense. It should be pretty easy to make level 1 forts in places, but very difficult to make a level 10 fort out of nowhere. And not really training anything there yet. Like I said, we're not going to be producing a whole lot of things. We're doing the support equipment right now because, support equipment only has 1 rank. You don't have better stuff. But long before we ever get into war, we're going to be making the T2, the 1940 versions of things. So we're not concerned right now with that, with producing some of the old crap. Take a look. That radio would be good. We are going to be building radar stations. Not you yet, not you yet. Yeah, could be using tanks eventually. Of course, this is the infamous Sherman. We will be building lots of those. I'll just keep going through the aircraft. And, frankly, probably, focus on the infrastructure like this right off the bat. It's probably suboptimal strategy, even with the debuffs. You probably should be building military factories or naval dockyards or whatever you want to be doing if you're, seeking to power game it and, do the play, kind of min-max. But as mentioned, I am not looking to completely min-max this. Oh, yes, that's a very good industrial focus. The 5% factory output is huge just because you're going to have so many factories. We are not taking that off the bat. Could do this. And Boeing is tempting, because I want to strap on the living bejesus out of Germany. Lockheed's also tempting for the reliability on things. I think we're going to cool it right now with any of those, because we might start trying to get some points. Because especially our army points are going to be just such a pain in the butt. Yeah, Detroit Arsenal makes things cheaper. Tank destroyer board. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get some points. And we're picking Eisenhower. Yeah. Yep, we're picking Eisenhower. That's not hard. Although, let me see if there's a better option, I guess. One's 9 a day, so you can get Commando, Expert. And then for my final one, it could be close air support, could be TAC bombing. It's pretty good. Could be strat bombing if we go heavy on strat bombing. Carriers, yeah, you get a lot of good choices. There's the U.S. Arnold, more expensive, but that's quite good. 0.2 a day. Maybe we'll hold on. No, let's do Army. We're gonna need it. As the U.S., I never have enough Army points because we're gonna be designing just a lot of different templates. Okay, Democrats. Hey, infrastructure construction speed. Hey, of course we're sticking with FDR rather than switching over. But I think if we switch over, it might be worth the bonus. But I won't be doing that because that's not historical. So there's the stability. Actually, the 10% stability probably means just sticking with FDR is better now that I say that out loud. So not doing any of the infrastructure yet, but we will. Okay. Better construction, better output, and we'll need fuel. Oh, just with how big our Navy is going to be and everything, yeah, it's going to be shocking how much fuel we can consume. We get a bribe to build a new munitions plant in North Carolina. Okay, gladly. Boop. You go to the top, and when you produce, you know what? Let's make some nice little 1940 interceptors. Okay. And as a fallback, we'll just put convoys in there because we're going to need a bunch of convoys for how much trading we're going to need to be doing and how many troops are going to be going overseas. Okay, neutrality. Yeah, I've never understood why you can get Arsenal democracy so quickly. It's such a good tech, or a good focus, and you just get it insanely quickly. It's not like you're at war or anything. You just need to have good support for the Democratic Party, and that's it. I mean, it's 50 Navy, 50 Army experience, 10 Air, and then you get 12 different factories. 6 dockyards, 6 military factories. But, so be it. There it is. Could do research grants. Could pick up more of the science speed. Or I could be upgrading infantry, upgrading commando. Honestly, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to do infantry because we're going to try to have everything mechanized. But we will do commando because we will have special forces. And can we do another one? Attack bombing. No. Oh, no, we can't do that because that's too low. We don't want that. Boeing for the heavy strategic bombing. Is there anything else we would prefer instead? We will need some of those. We will need this before the war breaks out. In fact, I may even build a few silos before the war breaks out just because we will be consuming so much freaking fuel. It's not even funny. You know what? Let's go Boeing. We're going for the strat bombers. And that'll help us with the research speed of the other air forces. And we just are flat out not going to have the PP to switch around at will on them. So, just going to have to commit to one for quite a while. Do that. Yeah, aluminum is the United States. We're just going to go through so much of it. Okay. Okay, you guys go out there, train. You're trained. You're good. Yep, okay. Yeah, we could take research grants. We've got enough support right now. Got a lot of support, actually. So, worry about that in a little bit. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. You can take Arsenal Democracy and then immediately go into Scientist Haven. I mean, it's insane. You go from 4 tech slots to 6 tech slots, you know, within 2 years. Probably close to a year and a half. So... Okay, so that. Making a good amount of convoys. And we'll design better destroyers later. And I'm not going to do roach destroyers. When people say roach destroyers, I mean just like cockroaches where you just absolutely flood them. You know, be the Zerling rush of yield in days. And once again, that doesn't interest me. We're going to be making nice quality destroyers, not sacrificing people to die. That being said, we can make some nice submarines. So we're going to do that. We'll get some subs producing. Okay, put those 5 there. Let's take a look at our ship parts. Yeah, so we want to get the better depth charges, better torpedoes, and things like that. So we're not going to worry about that quite yet. We are working on our Air Forces a good chunk, though. So we'll get some of those planes going. Get some kind of naval bombers. We're not going to be making any of the older carrier aircraft, just because I think we'll be more than fine with the other stuff. Transport planes, quite good. And... yeah. Like a few extra there, a few extra there. Okay. Yeah, perfectly uses that up. Taking a look, Scientist Haven, like I mentioned. See how our construction's doing. Our massive rail line is currently... oops, Senator retires. Looking in front of me here. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all the way to Chicago. Okay, we're working on the segment that goes east of Chicago. Then we'll see what happens once that changes, because like I said, it should... ooh, another negative event. Do I have enough support? I do have enough support, and I can take that next, so I will. Okay. Get the spy planes. Spanish Civil War is going on. We're going to save all the points right now for ship designing and not spend them off. Okay. There you go. Just put you in that big stack. Take a look at things. Research is going well. Got all 1936 aircraft. Start working on the naval stuff next. We'll be using a good amount of those points. So we'll definitely want better sonar. We'll get the battleship unlocked, get torpedoes unlocked. And yeah, depth charges. Okay, let's do the Navy. Of course, we're going for the Pacific. That's where all the real action's at, which is basically increasing the max range on a bunch of our ships.